candles are candles that have higher lows than the prior candles. So if someone said, well, gee, what are pullback candles? That's what pullback candles are in my definition, how Uncle Lou looks at it. My definition is pullback candles are candles that have higher lows than the prior candle. That's the type of candles you need in a down market. Okay, is everybody on board with that? Just give me a yes or no just so I know before I move on. I really don't want to leave anybody, with a question in their mind. So understand that what you want to see is Norman Rockwell, the detail, every little candle lined up perfectly. What you are going to see in reality is Picasso. So get that in your head right now. Especially when we eventually reach the point of patterns and all that. A pullback is two candles that have consecutive higher lows. You got that, Mike? In a downtrend, a pullback is said to be starting when you have two. I see where you're getting confused now. Okay, I think this is it. When I say two consecutive higher lows, you're looking at this one and you're saying, well, this is the first higher low. So this should be the second higher low. Maybe that's where you're getting confused. Is that accurate? Okay. All right. So then it was in my explanation. See, I'm glad I went through this with you. That's why, I try to stick with a guy to get the question answered, because now I know I'll explain that differently from this moment on. So if someone else has a problem with it, what I need to see is a higher low than the prior low. And as soon as I see that, that's when I want to put a trend line on. Everybody got that? Yeah, I understand, Phil. So it was um, again, semantics. You got me? Because if someone said find two consecutive higher lows and didn't know what I was talking about, they'd say, okay, this one and this one. You see what I'm saying? Because these are higher lows. But for this explanation, I need to see a higher low than the prior candle. And those are my two candles. And that's where I start with my trend line. Is everybody with me on this? Are there any questions? Niels, Nigel, Phil too, or Rich? No, John, that's not how fractals are formed. Fractals are a little bit different. Well, actually, John, a fractal wouldn't open until this third candle opens. Once the third candle opens, then you'd get a fractal down here. What semantics means, Joe, is that, and let me bear through this exercise with Joe for a minute, okay? I'm going to give. Oh, you do understand, okay? All right, Joe got jokes. Thank you, Joe. But you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this anyway. Mike, I'm going to have to move on with this, and you can always, get me on Skype, and I can try to walk you through it. All right, but I'm going to go through the semantics thing with Joe also, because this is going to help everybody understand how to absorb information and how to hear information. Okay, I'm going to give you a sentence, and the sentence is, I didn't say. I should type it in. This is the sentence. I want to show you just an exercise in being able to hear and listen. Okay. Does everybody see that sentence? I didn't say he took the money. All right. Let me just pick somebody out here. Helen, I want you to pick one word in that sentence, and I'm going to show you how the whole sentence changes. And I'm doing this as an exercise for everybody so you kind of understand how I go about things. Helen, if you're here, pick one word in that sentence. Okay, Helen's not responding. All right, John, could you pick one word in that sentence? I see John has his hand raised that he wants to ask a question. And then once we're done with this, we'll come back to the charts. But this is important. Is John there? Okay. Helen is typing finally. Okay. Pick one word in that sentence, Helen. And the sentence is, I didn't say he took the money. Yes, the sentence for me, the sentence that I wrote. I didn't say he took the money. Okay, money. Now, listen, Helen, listen to the same words. I didn't say he took the money. You may have to scroll down to see the sentence. But Helen, did everybody hear that? I put the emphasis on the word money. It's the same words. I didn't say he took the money, but by putting the emphasis on that, it gives the impression that maybe it was something else the person took and not necessarily the money. Okay? So I didn't say he took the money gives a different impression. Someone pick a different word in that same sentence. Okay. So we had two people pick the word he. Now watch. Now the same sentence changes the whole meaning. I didn't say he took the money. Now that implies someone else may have taken the money. So you see by where I put the emphasis, it changes the entire sentence. And people tend to listen with filtered ears. And they don't necessarily hear what's being said to them. Do you follow me? So when you're learning something or when you're trying to convey information, I try to make sure I keep my emphasis on the words that will keep the meaning proper. All right. So again, thank you for allowing me to go through those two exercises with Picasso and with the and pick one more word just so you can get the feel of it. Someone pick one more word in that sentence. Okay, took. Okay, then I'd say I didn't say he took the money. Okay, and then the other one, Joe is saying, I didn't say I didn't say he took the money. I didn't say. So that implies that I said something else. And then with Rich, if I say I didn't say he took the money, well, it could be that maybe he moved the bag from one place to another. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe he gave the bag to someone else, but it implies that maybe he didn't take it. You follow me? So this is very important when you're communicating with people to really hear what they are saying, and not just, most people wait for the words to get finished hitting their ears, because what they're really interested in is getting what they have to say out. Okay, so that's just a simple exercise in being able to hear. And this you'll give you a better idea of why I go over things the way I do and why I try to make sure everybody understands it. Because of that, the way people filter things with their ears. Okay? All right, so now we're going back to this again. So to build a downtrend, we need down candles and we need pullback candles. So what are down candles? Break it down to the smallest definition. A down candle is a candle that closes lower than when it opened. Okay, that's the first thing we need. That's a down candle. I now need pullback candles. What are pullback candles? Candles that have a higher low than the prior candle. Pullback candles have higher lows than the prior candles. So here, these would be pullback candles, these two guys right here. Okay, does anyone disagree with that? All right. Here, a pullback candle is a higher low than the prior low. That's what I need in order to build a pullback. And this would be that situation. Does anybody disagree with that? Mike, we cleared up that definition. We need one candle that makes a higher low than the prior candle. And that's this one. This high is higher than the prior candle. This low, rather, is higher than the prior candle's low. No, we cleared that up. It's always the wick, Joe. It's always the wick. We're only looking at the wick part of the candle. Okay, when we get to candlesticks and candlestick DNA, I'll get into how all of that becomes important with the wicks and real bodies, Joe. Right now, I'm only talking price action. Okay, so what I need to see is a higher candle low than the previous candle. You got that, Mike? I need to see a higher candle low than a previous candle, and that's the beginning of it. Yes, Mike, for you, a single candle with a higher low is a pullback. Just for you. All right? And down here we have another higher low. You see this? This is a higher low than the prior low. All right? And all of those constitute pullbacks. All right? So we're doing a downtrend in an uptrend, and we had one here a little while ago. Oh, no. It must be farther back. Let me squeeze this out a little bit. So if we were going to build an uptrend, okay? If we're going to build an uptrend, what do we need? Anyone? What's the first build? If we had to build an uptrend, what kind of candles do we need? Okay, very good, Phil. Mike, we're not talking consolidations right now. We're only talking pullbacks. I'm trying to keep these building blocks as small as possible so you can really see what's going on. Okay, good. Yeah, we need okay, Phil, higher highs is a different term we'll use for something else. I'm talking about taking individual Legos. And if I had to build an uptrend, what kind of Lego do I need? I need a Lego that closes higher than it opened. Those are the Legos I want. Okay, John, you're right that an uptrend consists of higher lows, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the individual blocks, the individual Legos to build an uptrend. Okay, so I have to look at my box and I'd say I need candles that closed higher than they opened. That's the first thing I need to make an uptrend. I need candles that close higher than where they opened. Does everybody understand that? And they're called long candles in my Word doc. Okay? Candles that close higher than when they open are up candles or long candles or bullish candles. So if I were building an uptrend and I reached into my box, I need bullish candles. Candles that close higher than where they opened. Does everybody understand that? And again, for those for whom this is elementary, bear with me, okay? Because we may get into something, as I said, that you may not understand, and I promise you I'll give you the same time I give everyone else to make sure it's clear. Okay, so the first thing I need are bullish candles to build an uptrend. The next thing I need are pullback candles. And what is a pullback candle? Neil, Nigel, Robert, Helen, I need you guys to type in if you're out there. What do I need as a pullback candle? Okay, Calzone's kind of on the right path. Phil is on the right path. Right. So if I wanted to build an uptrend, I need bullish candles, and Joe's got it right. And Mike finally got it, is on the right path now. Thank you, Mike. Okay. I need a candle with a lower wick than the prior candle. Nigel hit it right on the head. Consecutive lower wick candles. So that's what I need out of my box to build an uptrend. All right. Now, here's my uptrend here. All right. And then right here, I have a lower high than the prior one. Oh, let me make this larger because I don't know what the resolution is you guys might be looking at. And then I want to put my trend line. Okay. Now we have another push up. Bullish candle, and then I have a lower wick, and I'll show you where this comes into play, guys. Okay, I'm not going to lead you up a staircase that goes nowhere. Mike, we're building an uptrend. We're not talking about lows right now. We're talking about the highs. Okay, and then we're building an uptrend now. So it's the highs of the candle that become important to pay attention to, not the lows. Okay, then after this, we have another push up, and we have another lower high. We can put a trend line here. Here we have a slight push up, and this is a slightly lower high. We can have another trend line here. Then we have a strong push up again, and there's another place here we can put a trend line. So in order to build an uptrend, we need to have bullish candles, and we need to have pullback candles. The definition of a bullish candle is a candle that closes higher than when it opened. The definition of a pullback candle is a candle whose wick is lower than the prior candle's wick. And it's at that point that we want to draw a trend line. All right. And here, this would be our next pullback, the wick. And this one is the lower wick to that one. And you notice this candle was the opposite color right here. You see that? Where you may think it's a pullback candle, but it's not, because the wick is higher than this one. And if you'll notice, the market kept going right after that candle for the most part. That's why having that lower wick is important. Okay? Are you taking trades from the breaks of the trend lines? We're not talking about trades just yet. Okay, John? I'll show you how to trade this, but I want you to be able to spot it first. Because, later on, down the road, I'll be giving homework assignments. And John is asking me, am I taking trades from the breaks of the trend lines? You can, but there's another science to that also. So if I were going to build an uptrend, I need bullish candles and pullback candles. To build a downtrend, I need bearish candles and pullback candles. In a downtrend, the pullback candles have a higher low than the prior candle. In a downtrend, the pullback candle has a higher low than the prior candle. In the uptrend, the pullback candle has the lower high than the prior candle. If everybody's good with that, then what I want to do is go look at a few charts and make sure that we're good there. All right, and then what maybe we'll finish off. I'll give you a piece of a trading system that you could use doing this. How's that? Okay, because you should be able to make money with a naked chart. Well, I'll give you half a system. I'll give you the idea for the entry. And then what you can do is use your own system to get into the trade. Okay, so Shirley, give me a pair. Okay, pound yen. And Niels, give me a time frame, please. Okay, Niels is not answering. George, could you give me a time frame, please? Okay, 60 minutes. So pound yen 1 hour chart. Okay, well, I'll start right here. It just happens to be on the chart, And here we have now we know we're in an uptrend. Okay. Because we're making higher highs generally and higher lows, and I'll define an uptrend a bit later. And now we're going to break this down into the building blocks. Okay, well, we're going to break it down into the building blocks of an uptrend. So an uptrend, I need bullish candles, and we have that right here. Okay, and then I need that consecutive lower high. We can put a trend line right in here. Now, here I wouldn't necessarily draw it because this just happens to be the same color, and it's a bit, too much of an angle. But on this one, I would. Got it? It's a little subjective, but as long as it's a lower high, you won't be wrong anyway. But this one is just a cleaner look. Everybody follow me on that? Okay, and now we have a push up, push up, push up. And I'm going to mark every single lower high. Not that we would take all of them, but I want you to see them. Now we have a high, and now here's our lower high compared to this one. Okay, now we go up, 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 and here's our lower high compared to this one. And we go up again with the up candles, the bullish candles, the long candles, the candles that close higher than when they opened. That's what you need to build an uptrend. And then we have the lower high here. Okay? And now we have, like, these are all slightly lower than each other. It looks a bit odd, but I'm going to draw this like that. You see that? Does anyone disagree with what's here? Well, yeah, Mike, if you have problems with subjectivity, don't use it. You stick with the Cone-Stoll rule. Okay? Now, George is saying, I've noticed that when I ignore inside bars like they are not there, makes more sense to me. Saying that when I ignore inside bars, well, inside bars are super powerful, George. And you can ignore them if it's not part of what you do. I mean, you can certainly ignore them. But inside bars are real powerful, especially on lower time frames. But I'll get to that later. Okay, so I want to move on. Okay, so pound yen, 1 hour. You guys pick the time frame. You guys pick the pair. But you see that what I'm telling you is exactly the same. That's the uptrend. Let's look for a downtrend now. Let me squeeze it in a little bit. Be a little faster to find it. I just want to find like a non-news. See, this is news. I don't want to use that. Okay, here we go. Downtrend. Not, great, but okay. Here we have our push down, and remember 3 to 5. And this was again probably news. But you see, you have all these candles with no pullback. The beauty of this is I know a pullback is going to come after 3 to 5 candles. Or at least I believe it will show up. You follow me? So if I open the chart and let's say I'm like right here, I don't see all of this yet. If I'm right here, I can say, okay, I'm gonna sit and wait on a pullback. My first clue will be that first higher low. And that happened like right here. Everyone see that? We have this low, and then we made this higher low. Okay? That would be my first clue as to a pullback. Got it? Now, had I turned the chart on and I had already been in the middle of this and some of these candles were formed, I might draw this one. Let's say this was already done. Okay? Everybody understand that? So now that I know, okay, I'm waiting for a pullback, this is how I can find out I'm in a pullback in one candle. One candle tells me everything I need to know. Okay? And now let's go over here. We have more successive higher lows. And then we have drop down, 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 down. And then here we have successive higher lows. Okay, and then we go down again, and then here we have successive higher lows. Everybody good with that? Any questions on that? So if I had to build an uptrend, that's what I would need. If I had to build a downtrend, I need down candles, bullish candles, candles that close lower than when they started, and I need pullback candles. Okay? That first yellow line you call the block after the consolidation. Are you talking right here, Tony? That first yellow line. Okay, this yellow line. Right. What is it, Tony, about this yellow line? Well, Tony, well, no, no, okay. I see what you're saying. After the yellow line, this looks like consolidation, and I totally agree. But at the moment I draw that yellow line, I don't see any of these. You get me? I have to draw it based on what I see in real time. Does that make sense, Tony? I don't see any of these candles at the moment I draw this trend line. I don't see any of this. After the fact, it's easy to see what would have happened, but I agree the line is drawn right from the time it is drawn. Yeah, exactly. You understand what I'm saying? I don't see all this. I have no idea what's going to happen. But I know that now I have the makings of my pullback. Now the pullback can take a few different forms. This one took consolidation. This one, now consolidations come in several forms. They come in wedges, pennants, flags, and bricks, as I like to call them, or price traps. Okay, now once we see we're in consolidation, then it's, well, which kind of consolidation, and then you have a way to trade that. Okay, no, Tony, it's not a distraction. The whole idea here is to learn. So, are we good with that? Are there any questions on what we're looking at right now? Okay, now I want to give you a simple system to trade this. All right, it's not a guarantee, but you could try it tonight if you see something setting up. Let me get to current time. Okay, we don't really have much in current time, but what we do have that I like is this. Now, Tony, this goes back to exactly what you were saying. This candle's not finished yet. Okay, we're on a 1 hour chart. I don't know where this candle's going to end up in the next hour. It could end up all the way down here. You got me? But if this candle were finished, I would put my trend line here. You get me? If this candle were finished. See, I can only work on what I have at present time. Now, in reality, I may wait for another candle. I'll let this one finish, then I'll say, okay, this finished good, and then I may wait for another one. You got me? But here's the evidence of what I was saying about how these trends are built. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles down, and a possible 2 to 3 candle pullback. Okay, so I would put the line here only if this candle were finished. And then I may not trade this. I might want to let it unfold a little bit, because now that I know it's a pullback, I need to see what kind of pullback, just break it down a little bit. But now, as of this moment, I'm no longer lost on the chart. You got me? All right, so now let's put this together, because my goal is to try to get you guys, to make some money with what we're learning here. So if we had a naked chart with nothing on it, and all we could do, let's pick a different pair in a different time frame. All right, Cam, give me a time frame, please. Okay, 5 minute. And let me see, Nigel, can you give me a pair? Okay, Eurodollar 5 minute. Now, first, I just want to show you that the patterns are the same. Here's a trend here we can use. So we have the 3 candles down, and you see we have the 2 highs. Okay, everyone see that? This high is lower than this one. This low, rather, I'm sorry. This candle wick low is higher than the previous low. Is everyone good with that before I go to the next one? Okay. And as you see, we move down. You see how this is a opposite color candle, but look, the wick is lower, so that means we're still going short. All right, these two are pretty much even, but we have this low is higher than this one. This low is higher than this low, so this is where I could put something right there. Okay, and then we can follow that all the way down. Okay, So you got that for the most part. Now let's go to current time and just see what we have, or something near current time, so I can just give you a very simple system to use. This one played out already. I want to pick one that I could show you. Now this is a 5-minute chart. If I were to go down to a 1 minute, I'm just wondering. Okay, you know what? I'm going to do this. This is how I would normally look at something like this. We're in a downtrend. Well, this played out. I'm looking for a trade. Oh, here's one. Okay, here's a good one. Okay, you would agree with this trend line? Everyone agree with that trend line? Okay. A simple way to trade this is, now that this trend line is in place, I'm going to put a horizontal line across the high of that candle that made that opposite, that made the lower high. You with me on that? Now remember, I can't see these candles. It's unfortunate that they're here, but I'm going to show you, how to do this. I'm going to put a line across the high of this candle that had the lower wick. All right, so let me do that. All right, now I'm going to get rid of this. Now I want to mark the I want to mark this candle. Oh shoot, that's a terrible color. Because I want to be able to find this later. Okay, so you see I've got a crosshair here. This is one version of what I call a sniper trade. I have a few versions of it. You see I have this crosshair? All right. I'm going to go now to my lower time frame. I'm going to go to a 1 minute, and I'm going to look for that crosshair right here. And what I want to do is I want to take an entry above this crosshair. You got me? I want to get into this trade right above this crosshair, because this crosshair represents the high of that candle on that other chart. All right. So let's say I want to enter here at the open of this candle, because I'd like to get a close above this yellow line. So I'm going to enter here. I'm going to put my stop at the last swing low, which in this case would be 7 pips. And let me put a line down here at the swing low plus the spread. We'll call it 10 pips for argument's sake. Looks like we might have got popped, but did we get 10 pips out of it? Well, we got 12. You see that? Now I'm going to walk through that again, just so you understand. Let me take all the lines off. Once I have my trend line in place, I want to take the trade with the minimal amount of risk. Okay, and I want to know where. Now, when we do support and resistance, the key thing with support and resistance is going to be location, location, location. And when we get to that, we'll cover it. So on a 1 minute chart, a 5 minute chart, you're not looking to make 100,000 pips. You know what I'm saying? So, and I like to use my risk, keep my risk at 1-to-1 if possible. So on the 5 minute chart, we had this. And the reason I picked this, if I go too far back and then I try to find it on a 1 minute chart, there may not be enough data to find it. Do you get me? And I want to work with the time frames and the pairs that you guys pick. So now I have my trend line in place. Wow. The conservative entry is 1 tick above the high of that candle with the lower wick. All right. So now I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to put a line across the high of that wick. And then I want to get into a trade above that line. Okay, but I'm going to go down to a 1 minute chart, because now that I know where I want it to happen, I know that the likelihood that the next candle is going to go long is very much in my favor, because this is a pullback. See, it's a pullback in an uptrend. Gotcha? It's a pullback in an uptrend. So I know that the odds are in my favor that this should go up one more push. and I want to enter a trade right above that yellow line, I now go to a 1 minute chart. Oh, I didn't mark the candle. Doo-doo. Well, this is the high anyway, but let me go back and do it the right way. I always mark that's this candle. I put a line on this candle, okay, so I can find that crosshair later. That's what I'm looking for, that crosshair. So now I go back to my 1 minute, and there's my crosshair, and I want to enter at open above that line. Okay, so that's here. I want to go to my last swing low, which is 6 pips. I'm going to add the spread. Let's make it an even 10 pips. And I want my take profit to be 10, let's say. And in this case, it worked out pretty well. It went 12. Now, on a small time frames like this, you may want to grab half the profit at half risk. So if the risk here from the entry to here is 10 pips, you may want to split your trade at 5 pips. Take half of it off. You know what I'm saying? Because on the lower time frames, unless you catch the beginning of a massive trend, there's not much there sometimes. All right. Now let's go through this again, but now let's pick a different time frame and a different pair. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick a time frame and a pair, and then you guys tell me long or short. I enter on 1 minute close above the line. Yes, Phil. Yes, I enter on a 1 minute close above that line. But remember, it's location, location, location. So that location wasn't ideal, but it worked out anyway. Okay, so Phil, give me a pair. Mike, when I said open or close, that would depend on the if you're going long or short. Okay, Phil is saying Aussie dollar. Okay, Aussie dollar. Oh, let me see. Let me pick on somebody. Ron, give me a time frame. Ron, you there? Give me a time frame, please. We've got okay, Ron again with 5 minute charts. So let's make this a 5 minute charts, a 5 minute chart, and Scaramouche, give me long or short. Long trade or short trade. I just want to see if we've got something in real time here. No, not quite. Scaramouche, are we going long or short? Okay, he's not answering. Smidos or Smidos, long or short? Oh, Scaramouche, so it's going short. Okay, thank you. All right, so I want to look for a short situation here. Okay, you see we've got these. Would you agree? Would you guys agree with this trend line? I'm looking for a short trade. There are a bunch of them. Well, let me pick one that's more. I want to make sure I can find it. That's the only hitch. I don't want to go too far back. Is this trend line okay with you guys? Just give me a yes or a no. Okay, so here we go. So what I want is this last touch right here. Okay. I want to go below 1 pip below here or a close below here on a 1 minute chart. So I'm going to mark this candle so I know where I am. And then let me get this out of the way first. I'm going to put my horizontal line at that wick. So I have my location, location, location. Okay, and then I mark this candle. Let me get rid of the trend line. And let's go to a 1 minute chart. Now what I'm looking for is an entry below this yellow line. You got me? I broke my trend line. I know that when I get below this yellow line, I've broken the prior candle low. So now let's look for the, okay, so here we go. So right here I'm short. My risk is out here. That's 18 pips. That may be a bit much for me for a 1 minute chart. So I would move my risk over to these highs. And we'll talk about how to do that also. But would you agree that these highs here, this cluster of highs, would be a good place to put a stop? And George is saying, I have to run. Okay, George, understood. Would you guys agree with putting a stop loss at this level right here? You see that? We got 3 hits at this level. Anyone have any question about that, or they're not good with that? All right, so this is a simple trading system off of what we learned today. Hog goods to be down candle. I don't understand what that is. Hog goods. Hog. Okay, Shirley's saying it's all good. Rich, what are you trying to say, Rich? I don't get it. Tony's typing. Maybe he can clear it up. I don't know what he's. I don't want to move on with a concept unless everybody understands it. Oh, has to be a down candle, Rich. Yeah. Well, you're talking about for the entry, Rich. The entry has to be a close below that line in the sand. Maybe that is what he's asking, Tony. But just to clarify it, I want to close below that line in the sand. And the reason is that by the time I get below this line in the sand, all this bullshit up here is finished. All the pullback and all the other nonsense. And there's a lot of people probably went short in here somewhere and put their stop in and got popped by this candle. You got me? The beauty of doing it this way is that A, you know it's the trend line break, and you know that this line is also the low of that higher low candle, or the candle with the higher low. I get tongue tied a bit. Everybody see that? And as I said, normally I like 1-to-1 risk reward ratio when you're working on these tiny small time frames. But here our risk was 18, so we'd be looking to make 18, and we made 20. So it worked out. Okay, so a close below this low. I would want to keep my risk kind of tight, so I might go here, maybe one more pip for even 10, and then I'd be looking for 10. Okay, or you could pull half off. All right, now what I wanted to do, and I don't know how to do it comfortably yet, is give one of you guys control of the chart and have you draw the whole thing out. But that will have to wait for another day. But that's eventually what I'm looking to do. Okay, is to have you guys draw the entire thing out, so I can see that you know what you're doing. I'm waiting for Joe to finish typing. All right, let me go back to the 5-minute chart, and we'll pick another pair and another time frame, and we'll do this again. And this is very simple, just trend lines, but you have to understand where you are as far as the market is concerned. Okay, while Joe is typing, if somebody could give me a time frame. GN, is that pound New Zealand? What's GN? Oh, pound New Zealand. Okay. Oh, and the phone is going. I don't want to answer the phone. I don't see pound New Zealand in this chart here. Could we pick something else, John? On this particular platform, I don't see pound New Zealand. If you can kind of stick with these. The Euro New Zealand. You see Euro New Zealand here? Euro New Zealand, Euro New Zealand. I don't see that either. Let me just do something here. Yeah, I did enable all the symbols. But on this particular broker, the reason I like this broker is that I can get stocks, I can get gold, oil, soybean, wheat, and okay, Ron, let's go. Yeah, all the stocks are down here, and these are the major blue chip stocks. Oh, wait, there are more pairs down here. I'm sorry. Okay, so what was that bizarre pair you were asking about again? Because the chat keeps scrolling. Yes, thank you, Scaramouche. I see that. But I rarely, look at those. But what was that pair that you wanted? Oh, pound New Zealand. Okay. Here we go. Pound New Zealand. And what time frame? Oh, okay. Okay, 1 hour. So pound New Zealand, 1 hour. Let's do the same concept. I want to go to current time and see if we have something in current time. I don't have anything solid here yet because this candle is not closed. Okay. But we're in a downtrend because we have a high, a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Okay. So let's take this area here. All right. Does everyone agree with this trend line? Successive higher lows. Does everyone agree with that? Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I want to mark the bottom of this particular candle because this was the last low here, the last higher low. All right. So I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm going to move this over. I'm going to mark the low of that wick. Okay. So I'll be looking to enter below that wick. You got me? Okay. I want to enter this trade below that wick. Now I'm going to mark the candle so I can find it on a lower time frame. And I'm going to go down to a 5-minute time frame because I'm just extremely cheap. I don't like paying a lot for these trades. And I think we talked about that yesterday. When you place a trade, you're actually buying a trade. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so now what I'm looking for is a close below here. And that's my marker right there. This would be my entry. And maybe even not, because the reason I may not pick this entry, I may wait because this is 1, 2, 3, 4 candles. And it's, I'm thinking it's ready for a pullback. So I may let the pullback finish and then enter. Now this ended up with 2 pullbacks, which you can't predict. You follow me? But if I see this, or after all these entries, I don't want to get in right here because I know I'm assuming it's going to pull back. But for the sake of the exercise, my entry would be here. My stop is out here, which is 7 pips. Let's make it an even 10, and I'd be looking for 10 pips. And this is, am I reading this the right way? Is that 100? Oh, 10. Okay, yeah. So down here, this went like 5 pips, I think. Let me squeeze this in a little bit. And I don't want to lose that spot. Oh, we'd still be in this trade, basically. All right. So if this is my entry, this is my stop loss. We're on a 5-minute chart. So my stop loss is here. And we're still in this trade. We could have pulled 5 pips out of this from here to here. Okay. But now if I go back out to my 1-hour chart, which is where we started, am I correct? And on the 1-hour chart, our entries here, and this went 13 pips. Why? Oh, I'm over here. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm over here. Yeah. So here we are right now. Okay. I'm still thinking short, but it's just going to be a ride. You're going to have to sit and wait for it to unfold. But you can see how you can get into a trade with very minimal risk and use your higher time frame to base your take profits on. Okay? So if I had to come up with a take profit projection, if you remember from the other lesson, the thrust down, they're usually equal. So if I measure this thrust down here, and this thrust down is 12 pips. Let me mark this out here. And I put it down there. This, give or take a little bit, right in here would be my take profit on this trade. It's a very, very simple, very, very effective system. Oh, big news coming out later today. Okay. And that doesn't surprise me. All right. I'm just curious. What's the spread on this pair? Um, 9 pip spread. Oh, I won't be trading that. At least on this broker, it's 9 pips, and now it's 11. Okay. Lou, why do you measure from the entry and not from the high of the pullback? Why do I measure what from the entry? The second push? Well, because I don't make any money until I enter the trade. So I take the measurement from the initial push, and then I copy that to the point where I would have entered the trade. Because remember, I'm entering on a pullback, so I'm entering back at a good spot also. Does that make sense? No. Um, let's do this again then. Let me get this out of the way. This push down, I'm measuring from here to here. Okay? Do you agree with that? I want to take this a piece at a time. Ron, do you agree that I'm going to measure from here to here to measure this thrust down? Yeah, I'm going to measure this from high to low, but I need to know, do you agree, yes or no? Okay, that's a yes. Okay, good. Um, so this is how much that push went. So if I enter the trade, I would expect to get about that much on the way down, and I take a little bit off the bottom. So if my entry is going to be below this line, then I'm looking for this much in take profit, and I take a little bit off the bottom because I gave up a little bit on the top. Well, remember in Forex is Picasso, bull hamster. Forex is Picasso. So yeah, on a Norman Rockwell chart, each move of 30 pips would be exactly 30 pips like the next one. But on these Picasso charts, if I can use that term, they're not always going to line up perfectly. And what you want to do yourself is you want to give yourself a good general concept of where price may go and why. Um, Ron, are you there? Yeah. I look for trades on the 1 hour and I try to take them on the 5 minute because I'm just cheap. Remember, you're buying a trade. You know, it's like buying melons. I don't know if you were here yesterday, but if you went to the store to buy melons, you wouldn't just grab any melon out of the bin and throw it in your bag. You'd squeeze it, you'd look at it, you'd look at the color, you'd smell it, and you'd say, okay, this is worth my money, I'll take it. Trades are the same way. Okay, well, that's you, teachers. I know. You're the only guy I know that goes to the used food store with a shopping cart. Okay? But you get what I'm saying. If you were buying shoes, you wouldn't just say, "Give me a pair of size 10" and put them in a box and not look at them, not try them on. You follow what I'm saying? So when you're looking to take a trade, you're actually buying a trade. Is this trade worth your money? Does it have enough of what you're looking for to be able to put your risk on the table? Phil, aren't they too far apart sometimes? Aren't what too far apart? I'm not sure what you're speaking of. No, 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 Ron, Ron. No, they're not too far apart for me. And Phil, and I'll explain why. The reason they're not too far apart is that by entering where I enter here, I'm allowing all of the pullback noise and nonsense to occur first, and then I'll get in the trade. Most of the time, people get in the trade right at the moment all the noise and bullshit's about to start. You see this hammer right here, this pin bar? A lot of people went short right here thinking, oh man, look at this. It made all these candles short. This thing's going to keep going. Not that they're wrong, but they're about to enter right before a pullback starts. So if they enter here and they put their stop loss at the top of this candle or something, they'll get popped and they'll say, oh, you know, the market makers and the banks and the brokers hunting my stop and all this nonsense. Could we do one on the daily time frame? Yes, this is one of my favorites on the daily time frame, Phil. Give me a pair and a time frame. I'm waiting for Phil to give me a pair and a time frame. Okay, dollar Swiss. Let's roll back up. Dollar Swiss. Let's see what we got in current time, if anything. Nothing yet. But let's take the last meaningful one. Would everyone agree, based on what we talked about today, that this would be the trend line? Or actually, this could be a trend line too. But we'll take this one. This is the most current one. Would anyone disagree with this trend line? Oh, daily. I'm sorry. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, this is nice. Let me get this out of the way. Where are we? And this trade is already gone. But does anyone disagree with this trend line? Just give me a yes or no if this trend line is okay. I need the other participants. I don't know what everyone's, thinking. Okay, so now what I want to do is enter this trade one tick below the low of this last higher low. All right. So I'm going to put my marker here. I'm going to mark this candle. Now I don't know if we'll be able to get back to a 5-minute on this, but we'll go back as much as we can. So let's first start with let me get rid of this because this will confuse us later. And let me make sure there's no more lines here. This one I need to get rid of. Okay, nothing else. Okay, so let's go to a 15 first. Let's see if we can find that trend line on a 15-minute chart. Okay, there we are. So this is my line in the sand. I'm looking to enter this trade below this line. Okay, now because it's a daily chart, with the 15-minute candles, we have to go back quite a bit. Now, Jay is saying how this trend line come about. I don't understand what you're asking me, Jay. Okay, but until he, clears it up. Let me squeeze this in a lot so we could see it. So now what I want to do is I want to enter below this line on the 15-minute chart. All right here. Okay, now again, I may wait on this because if you remember how downtrends are constructed from yesterday, we have 3 to 5 candles down and a 2 to 3 candle pullback. So look at this. My rule is to enter at a close below this line. You got me? So had I entered here on this trade, I'd be up 14 pips already. Okay? But because it's 5 candles deep already, I'm expecting the pullback, and that's exactly what we got was the pullback. See that on the 15? Not that old chestnut. Okay, I don't understand the comment, but you get what I mean. Remember I said 3 to 5 candles in the direction of the trend and then 2 to 3 in the pullback? And here's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I want you to see that. You guys are picking the pairs, you guys are picking the time frames, and what we're seeing over and over and over, that the patterns I've been showing you are repeatable, they're consistent, and you can relatively rely on them. Um, can we take this short trade now? You could take anything you want, anytime you want. I am saying, me personally, I would wait, for another break because, we're in the middle of this pullback. I want this pullback to be finished because I want to keep my stop loss instead of up here. I want my stop loss down in here somewhere. Do you understand what I'm saying? All right. So now what I would do here is I would take would anyone disagree with this trend line? Would anyone disagree that this is a higher low to this one? All right. So now what I'd be looking for is to enter below this low, this guy right here. You see that? You follow me? When price comes back, when it gets below this particular low. So why did you skip the middle ones? Because there are more candles here now, Mike. The reason I skipped the middle one is that price has already traded past this one. You see that? Price has already gone by this. So there's no new trade here. Do you understand that, Mike? Okay, Mike is saying, wouldn't the new trend line be the other way? I don't understand what you mean. But wouldn't you had already gone short then? No, Tony, you might have missed it. On this short trade, I'd be a little bit apprehensive. You could go short here and certainly grab a few pips as a quick scalp. But if I wanted to hold this to make a lot more money, I would wait and then wait for a little better entry. See, the key entry here is a close below this trigger, this line here. This is my line in the sand. And that was right here. But it would have stopped all the way out here, a 50 pip stop. That's just not, what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to put that much risk on. So then I would ask myself, where could I get a better entry? Now, what Mike is saying is that this would have been the trend line here. Okay, but what happened was, as we came to the chart right now, that trend line can't be used because we've already broken it. So I have to go out to the next to the next one, which would be this one. Did you understand that, Mike? I can't trade on yesterday. But would it work? But would what work, Teacher Slew? The early well, here we can see that the early candle entry, which is the entry after this close, we can see that this would have certainly given us, 10 pips, well, 15 pips. But where would you put your stop? And I'm looking at the fact that I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, already 5 candles deep on this 15-minute chart. And after 3 to 5 candles in one direction, you will normally get a pushback. You follow me? So I'm going to wait for the pushback. So I say, where's my next higher low here that I could use? It would be this one. Or I could use this one. I still have to wait for price to get below this low anyway. Do you understand that? Price still has to break this low. This is the last higher low. Joe, doing the same setup again, and he did on the daily chart. Based on my experience, they're about 75% accurate. Well, they're 75% profitable, meaning that you can grab profit along the way while you're waiting for the larger profit to take hold. So Sean is saying, so if a candle were to close below the lowest low, that would mean a continuation of the downtrend. Yes. If I get a candle to close below this low right here, Here's my thinking. If I get a candle to close below this low, my stop now goes up here. And now I've got an 11 pip stop. And now let's go back to the daily chart? We started on a daily chart, right? So now I'm in this trade with an 11 pip stop. And if these thrusts play out, I'm in a trade with an 11 pip stop that has the potential, and that has a potential for, I'm going to make it smaller, a potential for 200 pips. You see that? I'm always going to use the take profit on the higher time frame, and I get these all the time. It says you move the sniper to the next candle if you don't get a lower close. Yeah, you try to follow price. You do try to follow price because that's the only thing on the chart that matters really is price. And again, this is no indicators. Okay, this is only candles and price action. And we didn't even cover candle theory yet. I just covered the 4 building blocks. So I'm showing you how to do this in an uptrend and in a downtrend. But right now, I'd be looking at this for about a 200 pip move. And if I get my close, and you see my close is this actual square right here. Let me open this up a little bit, because again, I don't know how the resolution is. That square, that's that low we saw on the 15-minute chart. You got me? If I get a close below that square, then I'm looking at a 200 pip possible drop. And my stop is going to be, let me move this out here. And my stop is going to be 15 pips from here. So my stop is going to be right in here somewhere. Okay? And what's going to happen is by the time I get the close below here, all this nonsense is finished. You see, we're making what looks like could be tweezer tops. See that? So by the time we actually close, and a little bit of a sea creature if you guys were here yesterday. All right. All right. But by the time we close below here, all this nonsense up here is finished. So even if I wanted to protect myself a little bit, I could put my stop out here at the swing high, which is 60 pips. It's still, since we're looking at a 200 pip move, you're still at pretty much 3-to-1 risk reward ratio. Okay? But that's how I set these up. Any questions on that? We're coming up on 11 o'clock. Any thoughts? Any questions? Could anyone else respond? I just want to make sure that we covered this properly. We didn't cover candlesticks. Remember that. We didn't cover individual candlesticks yet. We didn't cover how to build a consolidation yet. Remember, what we covered was how to build an uptrend. What building blocks do you need to build an uptrend? And we covered how to build a downtrend. All right? And then we covered how to trade a simple trend line break strategy. All right, so if you guys keep an eye out on your charts and try to do that breakdown, there may be some profitable trades setting up. One of the participants said that news was coming out today. So that could certainly make things jump in either direction. So that could blow all of this out of the water. But you got an idea of when you turn the chart on, you're not lost anymore. You see, when we turn this chart on now, before, you'd be guessing, gee, I don't know, we got this thing going on here, we got the support, the resistance. What you need to know is that you're in a downtrend, and now you're in a pullback of that downtrend. And then your next question is, okay, how do I trade that? What's in my arsenal that I can use to trade that? You follow me? Several weeks down the road, when we get into system building, it'll be a bit more detailed. And when we get into indicators, the 10 basic indicators and what markets you can use them in, that'll be a bit more of confirmation for you too. But if all you had were candles, and the reason I teach it this way too is another reason, is that I've traded on a number of different brokers, okay, and on a number of different platforms. I personally prefer to have systems that I can use getting the basic indicators from any broker. So if I've got a magic whoop-de-doo indicator that works on MetaTrader 4, but I want to go to NinjaTrader and I can't get my whoop-de-doo indicator, I'm fucked. You know what I'm saying? So I prefer to learn how to trade with just the basic indicators that are on the chart. This way I can go from platform to platform to platform and I can still make money. And when we discuss money management, I'll explain even more about how to position your lot size to take these trades on a daily chart. There's a little bit to do there too. Okay? So I'll be back here again tomorrow.